Views and opinions expressed in this production are those of the individual and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Shooters Nation or our sponsors. Information provided on this show is not a replacement for legal counsel or professional training. Listener and viewer discretion is advised. This is especially true on live shows.
Welcome to the Shooters Nation podcast, the talk show for you, the armed citizen. Join us as we discuss guns and gear, training, mindset and knowledge, industry news and buzz, and of course, the firearms culture. Be sure to join us after the show at shootersnation.com and become part of the Shooters Nation.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Shooters Nation podcast. I'm your host, David Yancey, and as you might expect, my co-host tonight is Mark Lancaster with Squared Away Customs in New Hampshire. How's it going, Mark?
It's going good. One of these times I keep waiting for you to say, and with me is my co-host, as always, Garth.
That's right. Excellent. Party time. Excellent. We could do that. I don't know. I mean, I think people... if they don't think about us together on this thing as the dynamic duo, there's no hope at this point, because we're recording the 14th episode right now, and I'm pretty sure it'll release in the exact same sequence. But our astute listeners may have noticed that I've quit kind of introducing the episode number in there, and it's simply because we've got so much stacked up. We've got guests waiting to get on with us, which is exciting. But I'm worried about, sequencing them in the introduction and then not releasing them in exactly the same sequence, and that would be bad, and it would confuse people. Yeah. So kind of get away from it. But anyway, so
put it in the title. We'll be good.
That's true. Yeah, I could throw it in there. I guess they don't really care, as long as we don't change the formula or whatever. But anyway, things are going well with you then?
Things are going great.
Great. Yeah, same here. It's been a long week. It's been a really long week. Interestingly enough, probably whenever the listeners get to hear this episode, I will be back from vacation. But this is kind of timely, even for me. It's great to start thinking about this. But we had a request from one of our listeners recently asking us to talk about traveling with a firearm. And we're at the end of the school year. You just got back from the NRA annual meeting in Dallas, so you've had some experience here just recently. But end of the school year and all that other stuff means a lot of folks are going to be traveling and have vacation plans for the months ahead. So timely conversation. I think it's one that we can help out with, and it's, like I said, it's a good exercise for me to walk through some of the things that I think I know and make sure that I'm not going to end up in a Florida prison.
Right.
Yeah, that would be bad. What's really funny about that is I have a memory that will never leave me of being, I don't know, I guess I was probably 19, 20 years old, had just graduated. Well, I guess I was probably closer to 18, 19. I had just graduated high school. My family and I and my girlfriend at the time, were driving to Florida for vacation, summer vacation. And my family were in their vehicle, and my girlfriend and I were in her vehicle, and we were driving along. We left Kentucky fairly late in the evening, and we were going to drive all night long to Panama City, I think it was. And we got pulled over in Alabama by an Alabama state trooper. And I learned two very important things about that. Well, three, perhaps. First important thing was when a state trooper comes up behind you on a dark interstate, that's not the time to say, I'm staying in this left lane, you can go the heck around me, because he blue lighted me and pulled me over for it. That was dumb. The second thing I learned was that my dad in the lead car had pulled over ahead, and he got out of his car to come back and talk and figure out what I had done wrong. Cause he's a dad, right? He's like, I'm going to figure out what my son did wrong. And the state trooper was having none of that. He's like, "Sir, get back in your car." And I don't blame him, and so that was a good learning experience. It was kind of like, if I was going to find somebody that was going to tell my dad what to do, it was going to be a cop. So, and then I think the third experience was, it doesn't really matter if that police officer didn't have you on radar or pacing you or anything else. If he said you were speeding, you were speeding. So just pay your tax to the state. And so Alabama, thank you very much. That's my lifelong memory of you. I hope you're proud of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you again soon in a few weeks. So there we go. Man, we're not even like 5-6 minutes into this, and we're already on a tangent.
Tangents.
It happens. Tangents are what we do around here. It's the Shooters Tangent Podcast. So, Mark, you've traveled lately with a firearm, I'm assuming, to the great state of Texas. And as we discussed previously, I need to quit banging around on things. I know that the microphone picks that up. And people are like, "What is he banging around?" That was my wedding ring hitting the desk. So you took a firearm to the great state of Texas, that we talked about during our NRA annual meeting episode, and you had some experience with that. So as I was thinking about how we would start this conversation, and it might be a short episode, which will make some people happy, but the first question was, have you flown with a handgun and or rifle? And I think this answer to you is a solid yes. Tell us about that one.
So I started flying with guns, I would say about 2012, somewhere in there.
Okay.
I remember I was pretty dang anxious the first time, and the person I was traveling with was like, "Dude, it's no big deal. You just say, I need to declare a firearm when you check your bag. And you just have to have it in a container that locks, that's separate from the ammo."
Okay.
Really just that easy? He said, "Yeah." So I went to the airport. I was nervous as all get out. It's kind of like the nerves the first time you ever carried concealed.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here laughing to myself because I'm thinking, how do you do that? Do you walk up to the counter and I know, but maybe the listeners don't. Do you declare, "I've got a gun"? That's probably the wrong thing to say at the airport.
You don't say, "I have a gun."
Okay.
Yeah. And I trained myself to say, "I have to declare a firearm."
Right.
Not, "I have a firearm."
And that's not, "I declare that I have a gun." It's I. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and it's a very non-event.
Okay.
So, another story was a big event, and I'll fill you in on that one after. But, it's a very non-event, and I've at this point, I would say, I don't know, I probably average between 8 and 12 flights a year.
Okay.
And I don't think I have, since the first time, I don't think I've flown without a gun.
Okay. That's awesome. So, do you use a particular airline more often than not, or does it really matter?
I've flown JetBlue. I've flown Delta.
Okay.
South American, United. I've flown Spirit once and only once, and never again.
Yep.
But now recently, I've been sticking to Southwest, and they're fantastic.
The cattle car are the airlines, but they're great. Good people. Yeah, so good plane.
They're super nice. The flights are great. The points are awesome.
Yeah, so when the planes hold together. Yeah.
So you go to the counter and you say, I have a firearm that I have to declare a firearm, and you give them your ID, and they give you a little card. You put your name, address, telephone number on it, and then you open up the suitcase that the firearm is in. You show them the lockbox. Depending on the ticketing agent, they will ask you to open it and show clear.
Oh yeah,
which is surprising because
I've not had that happen yet.
And by showing clear, I put
you got to pick up the thing about
chamber.
Yeah,
no, I put a chamber flag in.
Oh, okay, smart.
You don't have to touch the gun,
right? I guess you could use like a zip tie or something.
Yep. So I open it and show it empty. I just got some of the orange ones that come with like guns when they're new, and I just keep them in my lockbox,
right?
Which is only used for flights.
Very smart.
I just open it. They look at it. I close it, lock it, and I do not have a TSA lock case.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Combination case that is not TSA lock.
No kidding. So they've not gone into it yet. as far as you know.
I do not want them entering. They have no business touching my gun.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I guess I wasn't even sure what the regulation was there, or if you had to have a TSA lock on it. So,
to my understanding, no, you don't.
Okay.
And I never have, and I won't.
Very cool. Gotcha.
Early on, I had a really bad experience, and I'll go into that next. But since then, I have a 3-digit combination steel lockbox, like the kind that come with like the cable that I think was kind of intended to like bolt under the seat of your truck type of thing.
Yep.
So that's what I use. It's about the size of a book.
Yeah.
It's foam inside. It hinges on the back. That's what just works for me. So you show that you have an empty firearm. You close it up, lock it up, and then you tape a unloaded firearm index card to the top of the box.
Yes.
And that has your name, address, telephone number on it, and then your flight number. And you say goodbye to your bag, and then that's it.
Fantastic.
It's really that simple.
Where is there any trend on where you're flying to generally? I mean, what's it like flying through if you have a layover in a state where firearms are prohibited? Is that a big deal at all?
So no, because I'm never in possession of the bag again on a layover.
Okay.
Right. It's typically checked to your final destination. So unless you're changing airlines, there would be no reason for you to collect your bag and then go to another airline. Right. Okay. So that's the trick. So for me in New Hampshire, the closest airport is Boston. The closest major airport, which is a no-go for me gun-wise. So this is actually a pretty great story. So early in my flying with gun life, I had a firearms, like a one-day firearms class in Michigan when I was going to visit my now wife when she was living in Michigan.
Okay.
And I booked my flight. It was a good deal. It was the right time of day, the right day of the week, and it was reasonable. And I booked it in Boston. And I'm like, wait a second. I didn't think of this. Like, how do I get my gun to the airport?
Yeah. You got to drive through a crappy hellhole that doesn't allow guns. I say crappy hellhole because of the fact that they are so anti-gun. But yeah, otherwise, I'm sure Boston's nice.
I called Massachusetts State Police.
Yeah.
And I was like, here's the deal. I said, I work in the firearms business. I'm taking a firearms course in the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
A flight from Boston. I'm a New Hampshire resident, not a Massachusetts resident, and I do not have a Massachusetts out-of-state carry permit.
Okay.
I need to transport my gun from New Hampshire to Boston Logan Airport to check it, which would then bring it to me in Michigan. He's like, so you can't do that.
I was wondering.
He's like, wait, you're a resident? I'm like, no, I'm not a resident.
Follow along with me. Yeah.
He's like, you can't do that. And he like asked me another question. And I was like, no.
Can you describe your car? What's your license plate number that you're driving? Yeah.
I was like, I do not have a permit.
Right.
And I do not a member of your state.
Right.
He's like, then you cannot bring a gun into the state. I was like, but I have a flight. I'm traveling, right?
Right.
He's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, okay, well, this bites. Now I have to do some sort of like an FFL transfer or something.
Thanks, right? Massachusetts.
So I call, so Mike Cassino's been in law enforcement forever. He's been on the cop podcast before. So I call Mike. I was like, here's the deal. He's like, you know what? He's like, that guy sounds like a jerk. You know what I mean? He's like, go ahead. He's like, call Boston has a Boston State Police Logan barracks.
At the airport?
Yeah, at the airport.
Oh, cool.
And I was just like, oh, that's a good idea. So I called. And this guy answers the phone. South Boston, right down to his toes. He's like, yeah, this is Sergeant Duffy. I was like, Sergeant Duffy, I can already tell I'm going to like you. You know? I was like,
we're going to be friends.
Right.
Yeah.
I go through the whole gamut. He's like, yeah. He's like, Mac, you ever pick up any drug charges? I'm like, nope, never. He's like, you got any felonies? I'm like, nope. He's like, yeah, fine. He's like, we're not going to bust you stones. He's like, you go ahead. He goes, you go ahead and you put a note in that box with that gun. Sergeant Duffy, badge number something, something, something. He's like, anybody gives you any grief, you send them my direction.
Nice.
I was like, yeah, I appreciate that. So not only did I put that note in my lockbox, but I printed it out on a shipping label and stuck it to the inside. So it's there for you to go through.
That's fun. Yeah. Do you have any felonies? Trying to avoid that, Sergeant Duffy.
So rather than even get into that gray area, because who knows, right? Duffy could have retired since then.
Yeah.
We now tend to fly at this little tiny airport here in Lebanon, New Hampshire.
Okay.
Lebanon has a little airport that has 6 to 8 seater airplanes that fly from Lebanon to Boston.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about this little airport and this little airline is called Cape Air. They will check your bags to your final destination. So it's cool because it's a 38-minute flight to Boston rather than a 3-hour car drive.
Fantastic.
And I can check my gun in New Hampshire and it makes
skip that business. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. The downside is you probably have to fly on a crop duster that's like, I've been in those little things before. I mean, it's almost like having lawn chairs bolted down to the floor.
It's absolutely that way.
Yep. Yeah.
And at first it was fun, but after I've done it a lot, now it's kind of just like, it's another task. Yeah.
There's nothing better than coming through a thunderstorm in a turboprop the size of a Volkswagen. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's rough, but no, that's really cool. I was wondering about that. And the interesting thing is here in Nashville, we've got Nashville International Airport, which only recently really started having international flights. I think up to that point, the international side of it was mostly cargo, but you definitely have a Metro Nashville Police Department presence there. And you also had the Airport Authority Police, and they seem to be pretty cool with it from my experience. So very cool.
So recently, and I say in the last year, since one of the shootings, something new has happened on pickup of your bag. And it's not all airports, it's some. It seems to be completely inconsistent because it's happened at some airports one time, but not other times. So it just seems to be like kind of like I don't know if it's at random days or how that works, but sometimes when you go to the carousel to pick up your bag just won't come out.
Oh, no kidding.
So then you have to go to baggage services or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And they will have it there. And then when you get it, it's banded in 3 directions with like 3/4 inch wide zip ties.
Oh, no kidding.
And of course, you get into your rental car and, oh, wait, where's my knives? Oh, they're in the lockbox with my freaking gun. So how do I get these damn zip ties off, right?
Can't use the nail clippers because those got thrown away by the TSA. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So now my carry-on bag has a cigarette lighter, which will burn through.
Very smart. I guess that came on the heels of the shooting up in, wasn't it Alaska, where the guy rolled into the airport, got his gun, from checked baggage and started the shooting.
Flew to Florida. No, he flew to Florida.
That's right. That's what it was. He came from Alaska to Florida and did that. Fantastic, because Florida is where I'm heading next. So I'll watch out for any Eskimos or,
So that, like I said, it's been inconsistent. So that's happened about 4 times.
Yeah.
Multiple different airports. So I've flown to Vegas, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Chicago, Shreveport, Louisiana, Dallas, and Houston.
Have you been to Vegas since the MGM, or not the MGM, whatever it was? Yeah.
Wait.
No, I'm just wondering how they treat that now. Well, I mean, wait, no. Well, SHOT Show was in Vegas this year, right?
It was, but my son was born that week. And
yeah, that's right. You didn't. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm curious. I'm hoping to make SHOT next year, and after the Vegas shootings, the internet was full of experts, as it always is, on all things Vegas and firearms related. And actually, I was surprised at the number of people that said, look, you have no freaking clue how many people wield guns in and out of hotels in Vegas, not even during SHOT Show, but just all the time, because guess what the desert's really good for? Going out into and shooting. So it wasn't such a big thing to see guns in Vegas. I'm just wondering how they treat it now. But hopefully people have. Yeah, I'm hoping they've chilled from that.
Going back, I don't even know how they would. I mean, not to go off on a Shooters Nation tangent here, but the way now that you go back through and you watch the video of how sporadically over the course of a week it took him to get all this stuff in. There's no way he didn't use one gun case. They're all suitcases.
Oh yeah. They
never would have known. I mean, the only thing that would have been slightly telling is the maitre d' and the people that helped them bring the baggage up some of these times. It's like
maybe, right? But
this room over a week. Like, what's going on here?
I was reading something, and I'm not a purveyor of this in any stretch of the imagination. So I'm this is 100% secondhand information or third hand. But I was reading through an article after that, and it was an op-ed, and the guy said, "Look, Vegas it's Sin City, and this particular person of all things was writing about adult entertainment, and so apparently it's not uncommon for that industry to rent hotel suites and video, right? And so they were like, look, it's Sin City. You can roll in here with a ton of equipment and stuff like that on a cart in your hotel, and the porter doesn't want to know a thing about what you're bringing to that hotel room because they just don't. It's discreet, and that's part of their thing. So, yeah, that is a Shooters Nation tangent. So, yeah, I promise you, people, it's not like I'm completely, it's like, yeah, sure, I'm asking for a friend, right? But anyway, I have no idea. I'll have to go find the article, and I'll link it in the show notes to indemnify myself. But it was really curious that, somebody from that industry was saying, hey, look, seriously, Vegas, the people there don't want to know what's in your baggage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, all right. So you've talked about how you package your firearms. Have you had any encounters or experiences with your firearms cases having been tampered with, or any signs of them having been opened, or anything like that? Or
yeah. So a trip to Michigan, about 2014.
Okay.
I had my gun in the lockbox. All of my knives were loosely in the suitcase, like in coat pockets and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah.
As well as flashlight.
Yep.
An expensive Surefire flashlight, as well as empty Glock magazines, two of them.
Yeah.
And like my Emerson folding knife, which is like, a $300 folder.
Yeah.
Those were all loose in the bag. And as well as a blue gun and the holsters.
And a nerd trainer. Yeah.
I brought some holsters to show. I was meeting with somebody while I was in Michigan, wanted to show them the holsters and so on and so forth. So I checked the bag. I declared the firearm.
Okay.
And while I was sitting kind of waiting for boarding, waiting to go through security rather, a TSA agent came up to me and she's like, Mark? I was like, yes. She's like, will you come with me? I was like, sure. She's like, what is your business? I was like, I'm sorry, I don't follow. She's like, well, what business are you in? I'm wondering why you need a gun.
Okay.
I was like, well, I don't know why that matters, but I said,
right.
I manufacture holsters.
Right.
She goes, yeah, I was kind of wondering. She's like, because that blue gun was in there and you didn't declare that. And I'm like, excuse me?
But it's not a gun.
I was like, the plastic blue gun. Well, she goes, I'm sure you can understand why that would raise some flags.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, I declared the real gun.
Right.
Like, why would it raise a flag that there was a plastic blue one? Like, right. I don't understand. Like, I honestly, and I'm not trying to be a jerk. I just don't understand.
Did they see it on the X-ray or something, or what
and
in the world?
She goes, well, in the future, if you're going to have a second gun in there or object that looks like a gun, and she puts up like the quotes.
Oh
she's
my
like,
gosh.
You should probably declare that to us as well.
Yeah.
Like, okay, are we done? Like, I don't understand. Why are you here? Like, what, just being a complaint. So I get to Michigan. I open up my bag. Guess what's gone?
Blue gun.
My flashlight, 2 mags, were gone.
Oh, well, of course, the blue gun, the cheapest thing, is still there, right?
So my $300 Surefire, $290 Surefire flashlight, and my 2 Glock mags were gone.
Thanks a lot, TSA.
And I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, really? So I call TSA and I explain the situation, and and the person I talked to, well, it could have been anybody. It could have been a bag chucker. You know what I mean? I was like, well, interesting enough, they left the iPad.
Yeah.
The iPod.
They already had one of those.
The $300 Emerson folder. And I said, what's even more telling is that there is a employee that's a TSA agent at this specific airport that is also a holster maker.
Oh, you're kidding me.
And his business cards are right on the terminal.
Are you serious?
And he's like, that does seem pretty coincidental. And like, this is a guy that like covers TSA New England, right? So this is like a security guy for TSA. This isn't just like an agent. And he goes, yeah, that is fairly coincidental. And he goes, hang on, let me look into this. I'll get back in touch with you. And he calls me back. He's like, everybody there that was working is denying anything. Yada,
sure,
yada, yada.
Of course they are.
And he was like, unfortunately, out of all the airports in this country, that's one of about 15 that does not have cameras looking at TSA while they're going through bags in the back. He's like, you can submit a claim, but that's about all I can help you with.
Right. Yeah. That claim's going to go nowhere.
I looked into the claim process. It took up to 90 days. They wanted me to value it as used, not value it as new.
Right.
So I had to find what I paid for it, provide them the original receipt, and find prices for the used market.
I don't get that. I mean, so I get it because the government is just, they've been shafting the citizenry since there was a government, but to price it as used, that means that's what they're going to give you, which means now you could go try to find a used knife or used item that's in similar condition to what you had.
Right.
That's not going to work. I mean, you're going to go buy a new one. So, yeah.
So, yeah, that's the one really. Every other experience has been great. And I don't know how many flights there is, over 100. That was the only bad one.
Okay.
So don't use this as a example of like, well,
I guess, but you have to go into it knowing this, right? So,
I did something a little different. Guess what I have? A second lockbox.
Okay.
So I have one for a gun. Then I have one for knives, expensive little things. And it's the exact same box. One has a G, one doesn't. G has a gun in it.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And they'll ask me to open it. It's like, I have no reason to open it. It's just got expensive stuff in it. It's not a gun.
Yeah.
It's not. So I put the ammo, I put the magazines, I put my knives, put my flashlights, put that kind of stuff in that lockbox.
Right.
And that one is stowed in the suitcase.
Is that tethered in some way to your suitcase so that they can't just like take the lockbox or?
So no, it's not.
Okay.
And I thought about it because it would be pretty stinking easy to do, but I haven't.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, so I'm thinking about, the times that I've flown recently. It seems like every single, I think 100% of the time I've used Southwest because, they're a big, big terminal here in Nashville. I've flown to Vegas. I've flown to San Francisco, Colorado, St. Louis, probably one or two others I'm not thinking about. I've been armed on 2 of those trips with a firearm. And like you, I used a separate locking case. Actually, I used like a Pelican case, but I think it was like an off-brand, like a Seahorse or something. I think I did not use TSA locks. Now that I think about it, I did not, because I believe I did some research and saw that you didn't have to do that with a firearm. Went to the counter. Like you, declared I'm traveling with a firearm. I need to check that in. The people behind the counter didn't treat me any differently. If anything, they were probably a little bit nicer to me, which is kind of a strange thing. Got the, filled out the form, did the note card, taped to the outside of the case. And that was it, departing. Now, when I came back from Colorado the last time at Denver International, that was an interesting experience because went through the TSA lines, declared I had a firearm, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, filled out the form, taped the thing to the box, and then a TSA agent came out and escorted me and the lockbox back to a private area. And that private area was where we opened the box. I showed them the gun, showed them that it was clear. Like you, I think I had a flag in mind, or maybe I was using a zip tie. I can't remember exactly what it was. And I can't remember anything else about that other than just the interaction with the TS agent was very professional. It was very cordial. It wasn't There wasn't anything awkward about it other than just being in a room out of the public eye, which made me a little bit nervous. Locked it all back up. They put it back, in the luggage trolley that was going off with other items that looked like they were probably, and coming out of Denver, I noticed there was a lot of big gear that looked like it was probably archery equipment, hunting equipment, et cetera. Cause you got a lot of that coming in and out of that area. So they put it on that cart and it was going to go back in there. I remember the officer shook my hand, thanked me for time, told me exactly how I would, claim it, when I got to my destination as best as he could. And that was it. And I wasn't treated any differently. I think the only thing that I noticed about it was the people that stared at me when I went into the TSA area and came back out of it. They kind of looked at me like, what's he up to? And yeah, it was fun. But that was it. No sign that it had been tampered with. When I've flown to San Francisco in particular to go out there for business conferences, I've carried a Streamlight or a Surefire. I can't remember what it was. I think it's a Streamlight tack light, little miniature tack light flashlight in my pocket, in my pants pocket. And I just walked through the normal, TSA screening line with that. And no hassles. As a matter of fact, funny story. This is where I learned that some TSA agents don't have a sense of humor. Was coming back. One of the agents saw the TSA agent that was working my line, and going through I went through the X-ray and all the other fun stuff, and dropped all my crap off in the container, and it went through the X-ray machine. I stood in the gamma ray booth and lost some seconds off my life when they scanned me. But as I walked out and started claiming my stuff, they're kind of going through it by hand, and the agent picked up my flashlight and looked square at the lens and triggered it and flashed herself in the face. And, and I kind of laughed at her. And she looked at me like, that wasn't funny, sir. And the only thing that could come out of my brain and through my mouth was the worst possible comment. I said, well, I guess we're both glad that's not a bomb, huh? And
They bombed an airplane.
Well, no, we weren't to the airplane yet. But then I just got this really long, awkward pause. And I kind of looked at her, and she looked at me, and we looked at each other. And I looked at her, and she looked at me, and we looked at each other. And I finally just kind of smiled. I said, it's a flashlight. And she said, yeah, I know. And I was like, thinking to myself, because you can't see me yet, because all you see is a big blue blob in your eyes because you just blinded yourself.
All the lumens. And so she gave it back to me, and I learned not to make bomb jokes in the airport. Yeah. But I thought, why would you trigger that? First of all, you aimed it at your face, and then, then you triggered it. And it's like, well, we are both now glad that wasn't something else. So you don't joke with them. So anyway, I flew with that, but like knives and things, I would roll up in socks. I'd shove them down inside of my shoes, inside of my checked luggage. And I guess my hope was that, Jinky the fruit bat that's back in the luggage area that's running through there doesn't see something that looks like, hey, I should steal that, because all it looks like is a pair of socks shoved into a pair of shoes, and he leaves it alone. But I don't know. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. They probably X-ray it. A couple of times, and this is totally fine, and I get it. It's protocol. A couple of times, including this last trip.
Yeah.
I have been hauled into a back room and done one of those, almost looks like a Swiffer duster wipe down of my hands. And they have never asked to see the gun, but they have wiped the case, wiped in between the layers of my shirts, and wiped the whole thing down. And it's just what are we doing here?
Right.
I have a flight to catch.
Yep.
And I asked the guy, I was just out of curiosity, and I'm not just here to, bust your stones. I said, why is this not happen all the time? It's so inconsistent. And he's like, well, it all depends on the policy. I'm well, don't you all work off the same policy? Well, I guess it depends on who's working. I was like, yeah, that's what it seems like.
That's why you have policies. Everybody does the same thing.
Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've had that. So in fact, safety tip for our listeners, don't wear the same shoes that you went to the firing range the day before to the airport, because you can actually set off the detectors that are sniffing for explosives. Ask me how I know.
I've done it on purpose.
Yeah.
So I didn't do that on purpose, but I purposely touched a firearm that had not been cleaned.
Yeah.
Prior to the airport.
How'd it go?
And I did. It absolutely sniffed my hands, and it noticed it for that, and it was not a big deal.
Right.
Because they searched the bag and they searched me, and they noticed I didn't have anything, but my hands did trigger it.
Yeah, I mean, they have you take your shoes off and they run them through, and I don't know if it's like the I don't know what they're getting off of it, the carbon or something, right? I mean, the sulfur, carbon, who knows? But that got some looks too, and I got a stern look from a guy. He's kind of looking at my shoes. He took my Merrills, he took the inserts out, the orthotics out, whatever, and I'm like, man, don't ruin my shoes. I got to wear these things. And he finally looked at me. He's like, sir, have you been to a firing range lately? And I was like, yeah, it was. As a matter of fact, yes, the night before. Were you wearing these shoes? Yes, I was. Sir, you might not want to do that in the future. Well, you can probably pound sand too, because I like to go shooting. So, it's like, yeah, sorry, dude. But I guess we can thank that Eric Reed dude that tried to light his shoes. He had the shoe explosives. We can thank him for that jerk. So I hope he's getting waterboarded.
Only other hiccup that I had was I had taken years ago an old 5.56 cartridge.
Yeah.
And I had pulled the bullet out of it, dumped the powder out, put the round back in, and I had drilled the hole through it and put it on a keychain.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it picked up on it that it wasn't like a novelty thing and that it was an actual bullet.
Right.
They totally squared up on me on that one.
I've got a buddy that he's military and deployed currently, but recently within the past few years, he had an encounter with the TSA because he had, in his gear as he was going on a government, sanctioned trip for our government, had left a few 30-round mags fully loaded, and that was interesting for him. He said, really shouldn't have done that. And so he got to know the TSA a little bit better. And I think that, it was awkward. I'm not going to mention names to protect the innocent. Or the guilty, or the almost innocent and almost guilty, whatever. The stupid, the chronically stupid. I don't know. Honest mistake. He shouldn't have done it. He knew he shouldn't have done it. We all laughed about it later. He wasn't laughing about it then. So yeah, safety tip. Also, don't fly with full mags. That's bad. They don't like that. Oh me. Okay, so if you're gonna forego air flight, what about driving across state lines with firearms? And so, Mark, we've talked about this in the past, where you are a bit landlocked in your area with states around you that aren't real friendly to firearms. How do you plot your trips? I guess you're having to figure out how to go through states that are gun friendly, or are you just going through extreme measures to dismantle and put in separate boxes and lock them all up and all that fun stuff?
Yeah. So, I mean, I drive a truck. My truck has a hard tonneau cover on the back.
Okay.
My wife's from Michigan. We go there a couple times a year, typically. And like, for instance, the last time we drove, which means I need to drive the long way across the state of New York. So in that instance, I had a Pelican case and then my two little lock boxes, and I took the slide off the gun, the barrel out of the gun, the spring out of the gun, the magazines and the ammo out of the gun, and I separated it all into multiple boxes, then put it in the Pelican case, and it rode in the bed of the truck out of the reach of the driver. And then I obeyed the speed limit and I went through. And I probably, I don't know, because the idea is you just can't stop, right? So, and it's just a really long state. So I don't think it was an option to not stop for gas. So we had to stop for gas, but that was it.
Yeah.
And I skedaddled right through, got myself into PA, and then I was good to go. But Massachusetts, a touchy one, because I do not, I've heard stories about Massachusetts hemming up other cops because of magazine issues.
I think I've heard that too. Yeah.
A cop got arrested for having a 15-round mag on an off-duty carry weapon that was out of state. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I don't know. There's just something about the law enforcement there that I'm very gun shy about.
Yeah.
So I tend not to go, like I have friends like, oh, we're going to go down to Mass and do this, that. And it's like, well, I don't feel comfortable. And it's not a paranoid thing. It's just part of my everyday. And I just don't feel comfortable going gunless to a place where there's, more S-heads than there are in my hometown.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I just don't want to deal with it.
No, I'm with you. I mean, I have an aversion to going to prison too. And I'm just, it's not worth it. If I can't go armed, I generally don't want to go and
Right.
I don't want to go to jail. So we have a stalemate there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the driving thing's tricky. And I tend to play it safe because I'm the last guy in the world that wants to pick up a felony. You know what I mean? I have an FFL, I have a 07, I have an SOT. I own a business in the firearms industry. I work with law enforcement on a daily basis. I wouldn't operate well with a felony.
Right. Yeah. Plus you got, family. You don't want to be taken away from them. So yeah.
It's just like over something silly. It's not like I do things stupid.
Right.
It would just be a technicality if it was to get me.
Yeah, it's frustrating. That's frustrating. I guess in a sense, that's why I would love to see national reciprocity. But then there's that libertarian in me with a small L, not a capital L, but the small L libertarian that is, very 10th Amendment aware and thinks, well, the government shouldn't be allowed to, to force things down into states that, but every state recognize each other's state's driver's licenses. So where do we stop and where do we start? And I'm conflicted. Have you been pulled over? Have you been pulled over by the police while you've been armed like that in another state or?
In another state, no.
Okay.
In my own state, many times.
Okay. Yeah. How do they act? I mean, do the police treat you any differently or?
Yeah. So I have a thin blue line American flag sticker, like a 2x3 business card size on the bottom of my tailgate.
Okay.
On the driver's side, bottom left corner.
Okay.
And I kind of like joke around about it being my little get out of jail free sticker.
Right.
Because I kind of have a lead foot and I speed frequently. And I get pulled over a few times per year. And I haven't gotten a ticket since I think I was 19. I don't get any tickets, but like I always treat it with the utmost respect.
Right.
For them. And, as they're approaching my vehicle, all my windows are down, my hands are on the wheel, my ID, my concealed carry permit is in my hand. Sir and ma'am. And, more often than not, they end up knowing me and, more than often they'll end up with a business card for a holster too. I don't get any tickets.
Right. They take it off on your taxes for business outreach. Yeah. That's fun.
So the wife and I have this like running thing going and she's like, they're going to get you this time.
She's rooting for it.
That you're going to get it. Yeah. She's totally rooting for it. And then every time they're like, well, just slow it down for me, Mark. And they tap the door and they do their little walk back to the car. I just look over and they can't get me. And it's so funny. But yeah, no, I think is it your, you have to tell them. I honestly, it depends on the state, I think.
Yeah, it does. I think it really depends. It's the shall inform or whatever. So
yeah. So my state, we don't have that, but I do every single time.
Yeah. It's a courtesy, right? I mean,
and right down to like I think the first time I was in the car with the wife, she was nervous. She's like, "If you got on you," I was like, "Yeah, I used to." Like one of the first times we got pulled over together.
Yeah.
And the cop, he's like, I told him, I was like, "I do have a concealed weapon on me," and as I handed him my ID and my permit, he's like, "Okay." He's like, "Make a deal with you." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You don't touch yours, I don't touch mine."
That is such a common statement from them. I've heard that myself. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's like, "And where is it?" I was like, "It's right in the front, appendix carry, right underneath my t-shirt." He's like, "Very good. Thank you. I'll be back."
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, first of all, I think it's awesome. It's so funny that your wife is like that because my wife's the same way. She's like, as long as it's not going to cost us a lot of money or get me in jail, she's completely in favor of me getting in trouble. Because it's like I deserve it or something. And so I think it's funny that your wife takes glee in that. That's great.
So funny, little caveat to this. So part of why this is so funny is that when she first moved here from Michigan, Michigan doesn't have state vehicle inspections. And in New Hampshire, you have to have a state inspection annually on your vehicle.
Sure.
She had a brand new car. And when she got it registered, she never got inspected. So she got pulled over by one of my friends. And he told her, get this figured out today, or get an appointment scheduled today, and I'll tear up the ticket.
Right.
Well, she was so flustered. She just gets to work, and she's so flustered and pissed off because she doesn't understand why she needs to have a safety inspection on a brand new vehicle. And she's so annoyed that she got the ticket and I never do, that she just went online and paid it.
Oh my.
So I called up the detective that gave her the ticket. I was like, dude, give my wife a ticket. And he goes, no, man. He's like, I just gave her a warning. I told her not to pay it. Like, I told her to get it squared away. She wouldn't have to take care of it. I gave her 3 days. I was like, well, she already paid it. He's like, well, dang, there's nothing I can do about it now. And she just lost it. She was so pissed.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got a contest in our house that the only person that's had a speeding ticket since we've been married is her. And she earned it, man. She was hauling down the interstate and got the ticket. And somehow I've, either by luck or just awareness, being aware of where police sit, I've not. So yeah, it's all right. I'm glad to keep that streak. So I'm the reigning champion.
Hey folks, David here. By now, regular listeners of the show are well acquainted with Mark and our friends over at Squared Away Customs. You already know that they are a manufacturer of high-quality custom Kydex holsters and carry gear for civilians, military, and law enforcement. But what you might not know is that Squared Away Customs is also your one-stop source for weapon-mounted lights and other firearms accessories. Mark, Corey, and the gang are now also stocking dealer for Polymer 80 frames and slides, and of course, have holsters to fit. What is Polymer 80, you ask? They are 80% complete polymer frames that you finish out with Glock pistol components. Because you're building it, there's no serial number, no FFL required, and no registration needed. It's a great way to build a custom Glock-style pistol of your own creation. Squared Away Customs offers Polymer 80 frames compatible with Glock model 17, 19, 22, 23, 26, 27, 34, and 35 Generation 3 components. They come in 2 different grip styles and include features like an extended beaver tail, double undercut trigger guard, and a thumb ledge already built in. So, if you're looking for the next level of customization and performance from the Glock platform, head over to squaredawaycustoms.com and check out their Polymer 80 accessories and, of course, their Squared Away Customs Polymer 80 custom holsters today.
Somehow I've, either by luck or just awareness, being aware of where police sit, I've not. So yeah, it's all right. I'm glad to keep that streak. So I'm the reigning champion.
But yeah, I'm absolutely a huge proponent of just telling them.
Yeah.
Just tell. Be up front, keep your hands on the wheel, be honest. Hey, I got my weapon on me. Hey, it's in my backpack. Hey, it's in my waistband. Hey,
right.
Just be honest and upfront. It's scary enough for them. You know what I mean? You have to appreciate them. You have to respect them. And you have to understand that it's scarier for them than it is for you.
Absolutely.
They just want to go home too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, they're doing a job. They want to go home at the end of the night, same way that we do. I've not been pulled over. Well, I take that back. I have been pulled over while armed, and that wasn't a big deal because, kind of like you, I just inform at the front end. Generally I hand them my permit and my license. That way I'm not having to, I don't have to worry about like at the TSA or at the airline check-in counter, I've got a gun. The cops don't want to hear that either. I just hand them my permit and my driver's license, and it's just an unspoken thing. If they want to ask about it, I tell them. But I have been through DUI checkpoints that they'll run in our area occasionally, especially around the holidays. And same deal, hand them my permit, hand them my driver's license. And I've had the officers ask, are you armed? And the answer is yes. The one time that I had an officer ask me that if I was armed or not was a really weird, bizarre encounter in a parking lot where I forget what the exact specifics were, but anyway, I think that the car that I was driving was extremely loud and obnoxious. An old muscle car, loud exhaust, low P cam, all that fun stuff. Somebody complained, and so the police have to come check out the complaint. So I'm wheeling my shopping cart back to my car, and there's a police car sitting there. And I thought, well, this is weird. And so as I open the trunk and start loading my stuff in it, the police officer gets out of his car and comes walking towards me. I was like, well, this is weird. And, he wanted to chat about it, this and the other. I was like, oh, hey, okay, cool. And he's like, can I see your driver's license? I started to reach for it in my pocket. I said, hang on a sec. I said, here's the deal. I have a concealed carry permit. I'm carrying inside the waistband at around 4 or 5 o'clock on my waist. It's back there where my license is. Do you still want me to get it, or would you feel better getting it out? And he kind of looked at me for a second. And he said, go ahead and get it. It's kind of like you. You don't pull yours, I won't pull mine, right? Mm-hmm. I said, very fair. So I got that and, whatever, and handed him my permit and my driver's license. And he looked at it and he goes, okay, so I've got to go back to my car. He said, can I ask you a favor, please? I said, sure. He said, would you mind? Would you remove your holster and your gun? Can you do that without taking your belt off? I can. He said, would you do that and just lay it here on the hood of my cruiser while I sit inside and run your license and stuff, and I just need you to stay by your car. Sure, why not? I mean, there's nothing legally that said I had to do that, right? But it made him feel safer about the whole thing. He went home at the end of the night. I went home at the end of the night, and neither one of us went home with any holes in us that we didn't start the day off with. It wasn't, no skin off my nose, really. So why not? I've actually had officers ask me, in encounters like that. I think again through a DUI checkpoint, because we do those around here so often out in the county. Handing him everything else. And he said, actually I didn't hand him my permit. He looked at, ran it, and when he ran my license, he saw that I had a permit. He came back and he's like, Mr. Yancey, do you have a carry permit? Yes, I do. Are you armed? No, not tonight. I'm not. And he said, okay. Very good. So, just, doing a DUI checkpoint, et cetera, et cetera. We talked about that. I guess he was evaluating me to see if I was, inebriated, and he handed me my license back. He said, I've got a question. Why don't you have your gun? And I thought, weird. Okay. I said, I just didn't bring it with me tonight. He said, okay. He said, well, I'm really of the mindset that you never know when you might need it. So I would encourage you, if you're going to have the permit, you went through all that headache, why don't you carry it? And I said, fair enough, right? And that was kind of a positive interaction with them. So, yeah. Anyway, long story, but there you go.
Yeah, no, I think that they're all the majority is of the same mindset as we are. I've had very, very, very little negative interaction with law enforcement when it comes to me being a CCW guy. One thing is, a big part of law enforcement are not gun guys. And I think it's
very true.
It's a common misconception that you think just because they carry a gun that they're a gun guy, but it's not the case. I mean, I work with a lot of agencies, and there's many, and I think it's probably, I would say, if I was to have to, because I ask, like, what percentage do you guys carry off duty? I'll ask almost all the time. I'd say, the grand scheme of thing, it's about 30% don't carry off duty.
No kidding.
It was a pretty staggering number in my experience.
I would have thought less than that, but yeah.
I would have thought it would be a lot less than that, because they have, I think it's called the DD 218 is the law, which is a national concealed carry. If you're, you have to maintain a certain amount of hours of full-time or part-time law enforcement per year.
Well, yeah, I mean, it kind of stems from that acknowledgement that in the course of their work, they're going to make some enemies. So don't deprive them of the right to protect themselves just because they're off duty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's my driving experience has been great. I haven't done any bus. I haven't done any train.
Yeah, neither have I.
I have just done flights and gone through enemy lines briefly. I haven't had any stays in states where I wasn't supposed to have them. I have been in hotels.
Yeah, because you talked about that during the NRA episode, right?
Hotels that are, not gun-friendly zones. And, I booked, and paid for my hotel. And then I arrived there to find out that my gun's not welcome. It's my domicile tonight. This is where I'm staying.
Temporary domicile. Yeah.
Come on. So yeah, that doesn't faze me much. I don't, touching on like, I don't leave my gun places. So
Right.
So yeah, actually one time. So, I Squared Away Customs sponsored the Best Ranger competition, which was in
Fort Benning.
Fort Benning.
Yeah.
And I went down there to the Best Ranger comp last year, and I spent a week down in Columbus, Georgia. Is that where it is? Yeah, Columbus,
right.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I spent a week down there, and that is the one and only time I have traveled and left my gun in the room.
Sure. Yeah. You can't take it on base.
It was not permitted on base.
Right.
And I had never really been on a full-fledged active military functioning military base, so I didn't know what the microscope was going to be like.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, absolutely could have been in the trunk in a lockbox, no problem whatsoever. But I didn't know if they had dogs. I didn't know if I was popping trunks. Like, I had no idea what the scope of this was. I didn't realize that Fort Benning was basically a large city.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fort Benning is huge.
Yeah, it's massive. We've been down there a few times for family related things. So yeah.
Yeah. So so that was the one time and the only time I have ever left my firearm in my hotel. But I made sure when I rented the hotel, because I knew this was going to be an issue, but I made sure when I rented the hotel that there was a safe in the room.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that, if you locked it up or if you anchored it to something. So I've had some hotel rooms had safes like that, and they generally are big enough at least to hold a gun, so a handgun. Yeah.
And I don't necessarily trust them, and I always kind of think about like I'd always look for a hiding spot that's better than the safe would be, right?
Yeah.
The safe is an obvious place, so this is where stuff's going to be. And if there's something in it, it's closed.
Right.
Because that's the way hotel safes work.
Sure, that's right.
They're always open when they're empty.
Yeah, yeah. So the cleaning crew knows if it's closed, there's something there. Yeah,
right. And let's face it, it's a hotel safe, so it's probably mounted with a drywall screw.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
or they've got a key to it or something.
Yeah. So I would always think about finding a really good hiding spot if you didn't have an issue.
Yeah.
An issue like I have buddies who's like, dude, I just stick it in my dirty underwear.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
Or, you throw leave all your dirty laundry on the floor and you just stick it underneath all that. Somebody thinks you had a gun underneath all your dirties or something,
Unless they're really weird.
Or your stuff of value, unless they're really, really weird.
Yeah.
But I don't leave my gun in cars. Very, 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 very rarely. I can't think of many instances where I've had to do that. I've had to enter some law enforcement agencies where, just out of courtesy, I have left my gun in the car just because it's just not. I'm not a cop and it's not my place, and I'm going in the back door of their realm, and I just figure I'll leave it in the car. Once I get to know them and stuff, it's a non-issue. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. No, I'm very, very similar to you. Then I've used the safe in hotels. I've tried not to leave it behind. If I've had it in my vehicle, it's always been my personal vehicle, and you've probably seen them, the brand Console Vault or Locker Down are two of the big brands, but it's an insert that goes into the center console of your vehicle, and it's armored, and it bolts to the structure of the truck or the car, so you can't just like reach in and grab it out. That's kind of good. I've got one of the safes with a cable lock, like you're talking about, specifically for travel. If I think I have to leave it behind at the hotel or whatever, and so that's kind of what I've done. Let's see here, man. I'm sitting here looking at the clock on the recorder. We're almost an hour into this, and I thought we were going to be a short episode. How much more time do you have with us this evening, Mark?
I got a little bit, but my headset is
okay.
Batteries give me some warnings. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. No. Well, I think we probably hit a couple more high points here about traveling with a weapon or without, and then kind of wrap it. Because I wanted to have a quick episode anyway for people to kind of get in and get out and digest this information and go on with it. Let me think here. We've talked about securing your firearm at your hotel and stuff. One of the things I'll mention just for myself, the vacation that I've got coming up, thankfully driving through states that are gun friendly, like I may have mentioned earlier. But part of the vacation will be at the beach. And so, the beach is a very difficult place to carry concealed. you can't like go shove a Desert Eagle in your Speedo unless you're trying to draw attention to yourself. So I'm, not only am I going to have to be cognizant of whether or not the beaches are posted, prohibited or anything like that, but if I were going to go on one, I'm going to be probably thinking very, very, very seriously about, the infamous, fanny pack full of snacks and a, M&P shield or something small like that. I think we've talked about this in the past. It may make us sound a little bit crazy, but beaches are one of those places that there's just no place to run and hide if somebody were to try to come onto the beach and, start something, as far as, a coordinated attack or anything like that. So I really kind of want some means of protecting myself. Don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'll have a report, I guess, on that when I come back. I'll have more experience there. Do you travel with any special gear with yours, like for the sake of securing it, like locks or cable locks or anything like that? Or do you alter what you carry? Do you carry maybe a smaller gun or maybe a gun that you wouldn't cry about if it were stolen or anything?
No, I carry with those standard lock boxes. I mean, I travel with the lock boxes. I pretty much always bring at least one of them.
Okay.
If I'm traveling somewhere that's other than my home, like for instance, when I go to Michigan to visit the in-laws.
Okay.
There will be instances where, it's like a big family barbecue and I'm out rolling around the lawn with the kids in the backyard. Like I'm not going to wear my gun out there. You know what I mean? It's not a non-permissive environment, but I don't need to be like touching anybody off. You know what I mean? Like getting them freaking out because I've got a gun.
Uncle Mark's got a gun or whatever.
Yeah. So I have that. So like I can leave it in the bedroom, but not just left in the bedroom because it's not my bedroom either. I'm just a visitor. So it goes. It's like I said, it's the size of a Bible. You know what I mean? It's a tin box. It's heavy. It's pretty heavy duty metal. It's not light. So that's the other thing. When I carry two of them, my carry-ons normally, my checked baggage is normally over the weight.
Gotcha.
Because they're pretty heavy. But yeah, I always carry that with me. Damn you, Apple.
Oh, man. That's brilliant. Yeah, those are fantastic. So now the listeners are sitting here like, why are they laughing maniacally, or why is David? I wish I could describe adequately what I'm seeing on screen, but suffice it to say that we had a minor technical issue. And it's frankly, we killed the battery in your headset, man. I mean, that's like all us. That wasn't technology. We just depleted that thing. But your current headphones absolutely have kitty cat ears on top of them, which is just awesome.
So stinking Apple, of course, has to have their own little connector, right? This is my only other headphones.
Yeah.
And like I'm on the phone for a big part of the day. So
right.
These things have been going all day long.
I challenge you to wear those headphones tomorrow. Well, I mean, the problem is your customers don't see you on video, so
I'll wear them the next live episode.
Yeah, that's awesome. Whose are those?
These would be Andy's, yeah.
Oh, those are your daughters? Those are fantastic. I mean, they're like blue cat ears off the top of your headphones. That every set of headphones on the planet should have those. Yeah, much respect to you now. You don't screw with a guy wearing cat ears on his headphones. So
gotta get the podcast going, man.
That's right. That's awesome. I forget what we're talking about. Does it even matter anymore? We could talk about headphones with cat ears. Maybe that's the new episode thing. So
I think we're talking about what do I carry?
Like locking or anything that you take with you to secure it. Yeah. We just said that. Like you would lock it up even when you're staying at family homes because it's not your house, et cetera.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep. So I bring the lockbox, and then that's about it for extra stuff because I don't tend to not wear it. Right. So it's either on me, on the nightstand, and that's pretty much it. It doesn't sit in the car. It doesn't roll on the floor. It's not laying around. It's tucked in at my 1 o'clock position, and that's kind of where it lives. Oh, and I don't change up my gun either. I Glock 17.
Okay, same one every time. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got. I'll take one of my old beat up Glock third gens with me generally if I'm traveling, just because I'm not going to cry about that. And I'm good with it. I've shot enough with my Glock 19 that no matter what I'm carrying today, you put a Glock 19 in my hands, I know where it's going to hit. I'm pretty proficient with it. So, but yeah, I can't look at the screen because of the cat ears. It's brilliant. Oh man. Okay. God, this would have been a great time to have had video for the audience. So, okay. I got to focus. Focus, David. Mark's not wearing cat ears. Mark's not wearing cat ears. Mark's not wearing cat ears. Any special gear do you travel with as far as like non-firearms related, weaponry or like, like, I guess like, knives, impact weapons, chemical sprays, hopes and prayers? What do you take with you?
My everyday carry doesn't really change.
Okay.
I carry an OTF Microtech. So OTF, for those that don't know, is out the front. So also known as like a switchblade, but it's not a blade that flips out from the side. It shoots out the front.
Okay.
It's the Microtech Ultratech Hellhound is my OTF that I'm carrying today. I like it. It's slim. It's sharp as anything and is light.
Yeah.
Other than that, I will frequently carry an Emerson folding knife, which is a little bit bulkier, a little bit heavier.
Sure.
A little bit more robust, a little bit more rugged feeling knife, which is a folding knife. I always carry a Glock 17 appendix carry. I always carry a flashlight. Typically, I carry a flashlight mag holder combo that we make, which has a magazine in the front and a flashlight in the rear.
Is it belt mounted or is it pocket carry or what are you doing there?
Yep, it's belt mounted.
Okay.
Belt, and rides on my left side.
Very slick. Yeah, so it's got both things right there.
So I'm able to carry a 1500 lumen Surefire handheld and a 23 round Glock mag, and they're about the same length, and they clip right on my belt. And this is really easy to conceal because it's curved the way of the body.
Mm-hmm.
And like a mag carrier, it prints from the belt line up.
Absolutely does.
Belt line down. So you don't need to worry about like all summer long in a t-shirt. It conceals just fine.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. I guess, the interesting thing about that is the larger mag that you're carrying, the thought being, I assume, well, I think you've mentioned this, the longer, the extended mag is a little bit more comfortable, because, it causes it to lay against your torso better. But, also if you have to go to that second mag, game on. Now I've got a couple more rounds too. So
yeah, I mean, it's not really a round count thing for me. It's really just the comfort.
Is it?
Because
Okay.
the back of a Glock mag is very pointy.
Yes, it is.
With whether these ones in particular are Falcor Defense.
Yeah.
And they're nice and round and smooth.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, it looks neat.
Rubbing on the dad bod love handles all day long. This is a much more comfortable thing than the
the sharp, yeah, pokey
point of a Glock mag.
Glock mag. What is that? Like an anodized aluminum or something? Machined aluminum?
Yep, it's a CNC machined aluminum. And so I carry that guy on my left side. And I carry. This is the one thing that never changes. I've had this as part of my EDC every single day for at least 10 years. And it is a Victorinox Cadet.
Oh, yeah, just a simple little
Just a
pocket
very simple little pocket knife. This is what I'm not using my $400 Microtech to open boxes. So this is my box opener. It's my little screwdriver. It's my bottle opener. It's my nail file. You know what I mean? It's all those things built in one. It just rides at the bottom of my back pocket every day. I've got like 6 of them.
MacGyver would be proud.
I never lose them. I use them so many times throughout the day.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite things in my EDC.
Yeah.
So my EDC doesn't change when I travel or when I'm home. It's always the same. So yeah. And another thing that we didn't touch on is permits and out-of-state permits.
I hadn't really thought about that, but right. Yeah, I guess that's, I did have a question here about doing some research before you go, and that would definitely fall squarely into that. So maybe a good transition into that bit of maybe a slight closing conversation. Permits for out of state. I think my go-to has either been, the NRA has some good resources for checking firearms laws in other states, but what is it, US Carry or usacarry.com, one of those two, was for the longest time, I guess still is, fairly authoritative, and they do a good job of keeping track of what is, what are the laws of the gun laws of the state in question, whatever that state is. So, what were you thinking as far as permits and out-of-state permits, in-state permits, et cetera?
So there's an app.
Okay.
It's called CCW.
Okay. Well, that's pretty simple.
Uh-huh.
I'm
Highly recommended.
Reaching for my phone right now.
The cool thing is you enter your home state, then you enter the states that you have permits in. So, for instance, me, I have New Hampshire, and I have Arizona.
Okay.
And then it shows you on a map green states and red states, where you're good, where you're not good, and where you might be good. Well, there'll be a yellow one. And I think the only yellow state that I have is South Carolina. And I think that's because it's done by county or something.
Oh, that's bizarre.
I forget what it is. But it's a really great app, and it's cool because like when you're going to get a out-of-state carry permit, you can click it and say, I've got this permit, and it'll show you which states this will grant you.
Very
right?
cool.
So it's a handy little tool, but it also has some laws like the 30-6 or the 51% law. It'll tell you about that when you touch Texas. You know what I mean? So it's a pretty useful little tool, especially on the fly while you're traveling. So guys, definitely check that out. CCW. It looks a little bit mundane and a little old school, but it's a good functioning app and it works just fine. Yeah,
I just bought a copy of it while we were talking in the Apple iStore. It's $1.99 CCW concealed carry reference, and for $1.99, why not? I mean, if it helps you stay out of jail by knowing the laws, that's a good thing. Yeah, it's very timely for me, especially considering that I got some travel coming up. So I'm gonna keep that here on my phone and make use of it. Very cool recommendation. That's easy.
So yeah, I got Arizona because Arizona unlocked a bunch of states.
How hard was it to get that? Was it fairly simple? Or
so I'm grandfathered into Arizona. So Arizona used to be really easy.
Okay.
In that you did have to take a class, but the class is online.
Okay.
It took about 2 hours, and then you had to answer a 10-question test. And if you know anything about firearm safety, you could pass the 10-question test without taking the class.
Gotcha.
And then I submitted my $80, and it was good for 5 years.
That's not bad.
Which reminds me, it's coming up due this next year. The great thing about it is I think it dropped like 34 states for me, which was huge. Now, apparently, they've done away with the online test. So you have to be in the state to do it. But the only other one that I hear is also really good is Utah.
Okay.
In Utah, they allow people to teach the Utah CCW course out of state.
Oh, all right.
So I know we have a local Utah instructor here in this state, and we host them at our local range quite frequently. And I think it's like 2 states less than Arizona.
I'm looking back at the CCW app. I mean, some of the things that it tells you, like, must you notify the police that you're carrying? How are no weapons signs handled in the state? Is carry allowed in a state park? Is open carry allowed? Is carry in your personal vehicle allowed? Is carry in establishments that serve liquor for on-site consumption or off-site? I guess, either doesn't say allowed. Permit price, permit information, and then who honors it, and then whose permits do they honor. So I'm looking at, my home state, Tennessee, and it's got all that information on there. And as I'm flipping through it, it's all accurate. It's all current. So I'm not seeing anything in here that's wrong. This is really cool.
Well, the cool thing is almost every time that you turn on the app, it gives you a little dial and it says updating laws.
Awesome.
So if there was any changes, it searches every day for updates.
Very neat.
Which is kind of cool. It's a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be flashy. It's got good, solid information on there, and that's really what I care about. I don't care what the app looks like. That's kind of a no-brainer for $1.99. If you carry a firearm or travel with firearms and you're crossing state lines, I would spring for that. I just did. So, yeah. Well, I'm thinking about the times that I've traveled when I couldn't have a gun. San Francisco, California, travel with my flashlight in my pocket. That was fine. Had a knife, again, just stuffed it down in some socks, inside of some shoes, and my checked luggage. That was fine. And the flashlight that I was carrying was a Surefire, I forget what it was, but it had the crenellated bezel on it. So if you smack somebody in the head with it, it'd be pretty damaging. So a good impact weapon. I think I've carried chemical spray out there, maybe on my first trip. And I probably forewent that the second time around. But honestly, the knife that I carried probably wasn't kosher with California in hindsight. I didn't know that at first. And the research that I did really wasn't deep enough, but it's an assisted opening knife, and it had a blade that was longer than 3 inches. And I think that would have probably caused me some issue had I been, found with it. But, I guess that's where luck comes in is, good fortune, luck, and me not having to use it or get caught with it, helped me. So, learn from my mistakes, folks, and do your research and check to see what is allowed and what isn't, especially knives, guns, chemical sprays, etc. There's ways to be safe without putting yourself at risk. I guess the last thing that I had on here before we wrap up tonight was I wanted to talk about mindset and how do you get into a security mindset for travel. It sounds to me like from what you've said so far, oh my God, you're grooming yourself with your cat ears. That's brilliant. Just so you know, I did screenshot that, and it's probably going on Instagram. Not the grooming.
I screenshot it too.
Did you really? Yeah. Now I've got a screenshot of you holding the Microtech up, and it's a very weirdly threatening cat ears knife combination that people that are into hentai Japanese pornography will probably just think is awesome, and you'll
technology dies. You gotta improvise, adapt, and overcome, and get the podcast done. Man.
Yeah,
cat ear headphones from your 11-year-old daughter.
This episode is sunk. Oh man! All right. So cat ears aside, I'm gonna have to close my eyes. Is there anything special that you do to get into the mindset of being secure when you travel? I suspect no, because you've been very, very consistent with your approach that your everyday carry is essentially your travel carry. But
yeah, I mean, I think that my mindset is different though, because I'm out of my comfort zone of my area, right? My local town, my local area, the area that we live in is called the Upper Valley. It's known as the Upper Valley. And when I'm out of the Upper Valley, I'm out of my comfort zone. So maybe a little bit more hyper aware. So yeah, I think I have a little bit more of a mindset. Maybe my head's on a little bit more of a swivel. Maybe I'm just a little bit more attentive as to what's going on. But not extremely, just maybe a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, that's probably it too, is just the uncertainty and the lack of intelligence about the area. And I use intelligence there as a noun, the lack of intel that I have. Interestingly enough, I did some research about that, and specifically I was looking to see if there was anything out there that would make it easier for me to check the background of the area that we're going to on vacation. And I found some websites. There's citydata.com, Family Watchdog, Crime Reports. Those are the names of websites. I'll link them in our show notes that are just ways for people to go online and research a neighborhood. And it shows things, these all show things like, crime rates broken down by type and year to year, and Family Watchdog in particular talks about sex offender registries within the area, and Crime Reports is exactly what it sounds like. It's they partner up with law enforcement agencies to show you what what crime reports are public information and specifically to the area that you define. Kind of similar to the CCW app that you just mentioned, on your phone. A couple apps I found, Crime in Place. There's a free version and a paid version. And I think it really just depends on what features that they have that are appealing to you. But, it'll provide a map and a compass to show you what the crime statistics are in the surrounding area. It was interesting. That was actually marketed for people that are buying a house. And I can understand why you would want to do that. What's the crime like in your neighborhood? So it shows not only personal crime, but property crime, which is probably important, especially if you're traveling. Are you going to park your vehicle in a hotel parking lot and then come out the next morning that's gone, or all the windows are busted out or whatever? There's another one called Spot Crime, which gives real-time crime information, like robberies, thefts, shootings, etc. And I want to say, and I couldn't find it, quickly enough before the show, but I want to say that U.S. CCW or U.S. Concealed Carry, the organization or whatever it's called, I've just probably butchered their name, but
USCCA.
Yeah, that's it, USCCA. You'd think I'd known that, but anyway, I think they've got an app that is similar to this, or they're partnered up with somebody that has an app, and it may be one of the ones that we mentioned. I'm gonna have to go search for that after the show, but I would encourage our listeners, just whatever platform your mobile device is, if it's Apple, iOS, or Android, just go search in your app store for things like crime and crime statistics and crime map, and you're probably going to find some apps that have a significant number of reviewers, and look to see if they've rated it, overwhelmingly positive, and just give it a spin, because technology is pretty cool. It can give you a way to get some intelligence on the area that you're planning on staying in, and it might be intelligence that says, this is a pretty bad area. We're going to skip it. We're going to go over a town or something. So, short of knowing people in the area and talking to folks and asking, hey, what's the crime like around here, this app will help you do that and just give you the info. So I would check into that. I don't know. Any other thoughts other than, I think I've got a long-standing rule of not staying at a La Quinta Inn near a strip club, and that comes from a really weird experience back in the 90s that I don't want to talk about.
Yeah, not really. I mean, I think the biggest thing, more than anything, you can't carry a gun. You can't, you don't have your knife on you. You're in a town that you're not familiar with, and you are uncomfortable. It's just keep your head up and out of your phone, and keep your eye on your surroundings. Know what's going on.
I totally think you need to wear the headphones with cat ears from now on, because I really think, who would mess with you, right? If you're bad enough to wear cat ears, you probably don't want to mess with a guy that's doing that.
First guy in the history of the internet to hold the 226 TAC ops with cat ears.
That's right. Yeah. That's
on video.
Yeah, I'm going to Google to see if I can find a link to those cat ears headphones, and we'll mention those in the show notes for anybody else that wants a pair of them.
Why? Because you're going to order some?
I'm totally ordering some. I'll show up the next time with some cat ear headphones on. I'll do it. Don't threaten me. Don't threaten me with a good time. I'll come back here with cat ears. We should make it a requirement. Right. Yeah, we'll get Cicino back on here, and we'll make him wear cat ears with us, and it'll be a great time. Yeah, that'll be fun. I guess it's hard to believe we're already at the end of another episode. I'm looking forward to some R&R. It's coming up, and so I appreciate you hanging out with me again. We've had a long night. This is the second episode that we've recorded tonight, but it was a lot of fun. Yeah, but it put us ahead. And so by the time people listen to this, I will probably had enough sand between my toes and other places that I'm ready to come back and record another episode. So,
I just wanted to do a quick note on beach carry.
Oh, yeah.
And the best way to carry at the beach is by not going to the beach.
I agree with that. I completely agree with that. My wife and I mean, this is a testament to the fact that we love my brother and my sister-in-law. And they're already married, so this is a renewal of their vows. And they wanted to have a nice big, family wedding during nice weather at a beach, and I think it's fantastic. I love them to death, and I hope that they have many, many years to come, because I don't want to ever do this again on the beach. I just don't like the beach, man. Give me the mountains any day. The beach is just kind of,
When are you leaving?
Let's see. I will be leaving at the end of next week. So the episode with William will have released by then. Mm-hmm. And then this will release the Sunday after we've already been back, which is pretty cool, because we've got the episode that we just also did on our conversation, following up, on our thoughts about the episode with William.
Right.
And so, and now I'm thinking, I'm sitting here complaining about sand on the beach, and we just talked to a guy who, the SEALs are notorious for Bud's training. Let's go get cold, wet, and sandy. Sugar cookies. That's right. Go roll around in the sand. I'm such a wimp. It's a good thing that I didn't ever think to be a Navy SEAL. So I would have been more like a Navy walrus anyway. I'm not really much of a SEAL. I wonder, is that a thing? It could be. I don't know. They probably wear cat ears.
I don't know what the walrus acronym would be, though.
I don't know either. Now I'm going to have to come up with one.
SEAL is what? Sea, air, land, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Now I've got to figure it out. I will come up with an acronym for the walrus. So I am the walrus. Me and John Lennon.
I'm the cat.
Mark, it's been a lot of fun, man. Thanks for doing it.
You as well.
Yeah, we killed a headphones battery. We dug cat ears out of storage. We've broken the internet. That picture is probably going to get posted. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Folks, I hope that this episode provided you at least some thoughts about how to prepare yourself as you go enjoy the summer months with your friends and family and get some R&R. I'm reminded of our conversation with William, the U.S. Navy SEAL, a few episodes ago, where we talked about Colonel Cooper's color codes and what they mean. And my wish for you all is that if you can't be in code white and just completely oblivious to everything going wrong around you and relaxing and not thinking about it, at least be a pale yellow. I hope that just be a little bit aware of what's happening. Keep mindful and keep your awareness up. But be safe out there. Enjoy the summer months ahead with your friends and family, and get some rest and relaxation. Mark, this is probably our last episode to record together before I go on vacation. So look forward to seeing you again in a few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool, man. You guys got some travel coming up too, though, right? This actual upcoming weekend, you're doing some travel.
Yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow. So
fantastic.
Heading up north to our cabin. So we're going to be up there off the grid till Monday.
Yeah. No beach, no sand. That's
no beach, no sand.
That sounds like heaven.
Mountains.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it.
We have some 4-wheelers and a side-by-side and some stuff up there. So it should be a good time.
Enjoy that. Hope you guys do have a fun time. All right, man. Well, you be safe and doing that, and I'll see you in just about 2 weeks, I guess. And for our listeners, how do they connect with you after the show?
info@squaredawaycustoms.com is the best way to reach me directly. Shoot me an email. And of course, if you need any gear, you're welcome to visit the website, squaredawaycustoms.com, and just make sure to use Shooters Nation coupon code. Save some money.
Absolutely. Yeah. Don't leave that money on the table. Take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
And I guess, as always, I want to mention that we definitely appreciate our Patreon members. If you are interested in supporting the show, shootersnation.com/donate is a way to get you there. Don't have to do it. We certainly appreciate it, though. Also want to hear from any of you that have ideas for a future episode. shootersnation.com/idea. That takes you to a form that you can fill out, and you can let us know what you would like us to talk about in future episodes, what subjects, who would you like us to interview, etc. You can connect with us on shootersnation.com for other things, such as our Mail Blast mailing list. And we use that, of course, to send out announcements about upcoming shows, live events, special promotions, etc. Coming up in the episodes ahead, we still have some discussions coming up with some of the ladies of the armed lifestyle and what that means to work that into your wardrobe and how to carry as a security conscious, self-defense minded female. And I think we have a civilian medical episode coming up soon. And golly, we got a whole list of things I need to be following up with people on. So probably a after action report of me at the beach, which will be about as exciting as what I just said. So there you go. I'll spare all of you with that. If I do it, I'll at least wear cat ears on my head like Mark did. So cat ears make everything better. Clearly make everything better. So, all right. Well, everybody, hope you enjoyed the show tonight. Look forward to spending some time with you again soon. But in the meantime, no matter where you might be, whether it's relaxing on a beach or kicking back with your family at a cabin in upstate New Hampshire, away from it all, I hope that you will be safe out there and that we see each other again soon. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you again.
The preceding segment was a production of the Shooters Nation podcast. Visit us online at shootersnation.com.